Ronnie O'Sullivan is a 7-time world champion and is often considered the best snooker player of all time. With a career spanning over 30 years, Ronnie has quite simply done it all, displaying the type of longevity any sports person would struggle to contend with. His career got off to a flying start, and he began breaking records almost immediately. In 1993, he became the youngest ever ranking event winner, a week before his 18th birthday, and in 1995, at just 19, he became the youngest ever Masters winner, both of which are still records that stand today. Overall, he's won 23 Triple Crown titles and has 41 total ranking titles. More recently, he's even scored a record-breaking 153 in a year where many have questioned whether Ronnie's fire is starting to go out. With all the records and titles to go with his impressive career, some would say Ronnie is the true definition of a serial winner, and they wouldn't be wrong. Yet, after achieving everything there is in the game, and being very open about his mental health and addiction struggles, which he says was made worse by the pressure that comes with playing top-flight snooker, why does he refuse to retire? After all, he has nothing left to prove. No one would begrudge him if he walked away now. Well, there's the pull of the 8th world title, which would put him ahead of Stephen Henry. We don't often like to speak about the financial aspect, but the Saudis getting involved in snooker now means far more money is flying around the game. Like with boxing, there's an incentive for the older statesmen to stick around, where they might have previously knocked it on the head. Culturally, snooker isn't what it once was in the UK, so the Saudis' involvement have boosted the game in both a commercial and a cultural sense. For Ronnie, it's not just a $1 million prize pot on offer for the 167 golden break. He's been made a brand ambassador for Saudi Arabia, so walking away now would be a very difficult decision to make, and he might not even be allowed to, depending on the conditions within the agreement. So, with Ronnie's career spanning well into its third decade, how has he stayed engaged all these years? Well, in some ways he hasn't. He often drops out of tournaments last minute as a way to protect himself, much to the frustration of fans. His class of 92 counterparts, John Higgins and Mark Williams, have been far more consistent in recent years, countering the given theory that Ronnie is definitely slowing down because of his age. However, even though Higgins and Williams are fellow world champions, they aren't household names in the same way. Everyone knows who Ronnie O'Sullivan is. He's in a league of his own in that department. To make the situation even more intense, it's clear there won't ever be another Ronnie. Not from the UK anyway. It's just not possible. With the rising cost of living hitting businesses and consumers, it's just too expensive to run profitable snooker clubs here, so fewer and fewer young players are now coming through. With that comes a great deal of pressure on Ronnie. Every tournament he plays at is massive news in the world of snooker, because you never know when it might be his last. Even with all the money and incentives, Ronnie's temperamental nature means he could still walk away at any moment. With snooker being less of a physical sport, there's no saying that a career has to come to an end at a designated age. Your eyes might go, your back might go, and you might encounter psychological issues along the way. However, none of those are guaranteed at 50, and some of these issues can be managed to an extent when you have world-class talent to fall back on. The longevity of it all can be both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because, well, you remain playing at the highest level in a sport you've always loved while still earning good money. It can also be a curse because the chapter never truly ends, and sometimes in life, us humans need chapters to end, so we can move on and reflect on that part of our life. Even though the chapter's never really ended, Ronnie has gone through a few different versions of himself. He broke through as a raw talent in the 90s, in which he was a fast attacking player, recording a 5-minute 147, the fastest in history. Then came years of winning, where he established himself as a front runner for major tournaments. He even took a year-long break in 2012 and came back to win the World Championship a year later, proving he could still do it at the highest level, even when inconsistent. Ronnie would continue to mature over the years and become more of an all-rounder. He would also become more of a part-timer in his later years, picking and choosing tournaments to play in, giving him the best chance of boosting his longevity. Not only did he manage to stay in the game, he won the World Championship in 2022, becoming the oldest player at 46 and tying Stephen Henry's record of 7 World Championships and putting his Triple Crown record to an 8th UK title, an 8th Masters and a 7th World title. Arguably, the only thing missing is an 8th World title. However, it hasn't all been plain sailing. It's fair to say that Ronnie has had his moments over the years, from the heated rivalry with Ali Carter to arguments with umpires and criticising young players for a lack of ability.
If you look at the younger players coming through, they're not that good, really. They'd probably do well as half-decent amateurs, do you know what I'm saying? Well, not even amateurs, I mean, they're so bad. I've probably got to lose an arm and a leg to sort of fall outside the top 50, do you know what I mean?
Then there was a 147 protest where he initially refused to pot the black because the prize pot was too low.
We used to get a car for 147, and then I heard that they'd dropped the prize money to about $4,000. I just thought, that's not good, really, because a 147 is quite special. So I kind of said to the ref, I ain't making a maxi until you find out. But I'm kind of whispering to him as he's putting a ball on the table. I didn't want to make it look obvious. And I think halfway through he went to me $4,000, and I went, I really wasn't going to pot the black, but it was only because Jan said, come on, do it for your fans. And I went, but if it had been any other referee, I wouldn't have done it.
In recent years, Ronnie hasn't enjoyed the same level of controversy. It's almost like he's become a different person. It almost seems like he doesn't care, like he's become indifferent to the result. But could a serial winner like Ronnie really flip the script and no longer care if he wins or loses? No matter what he might tell you, it's unlikely. People and athletes who get to Ronnie's level in anything can't just turn it off. The drive to win is in them. That's why he's still playing. The fire hasn't gone out. He's just moved into a different mode of management. By acting like he's indifferent, Ronnie has put a barrier up between himself and the expectations of everyone watching. Even if it's not a foolproof method, it eases the pressure within Ronnie's mind, and that's what really matters. The buzz around the game when Ronnie plays is just noise, but this can be overwhelming if not managed correctly. That's why he says he's not a good player anymore. It's supposed to lower our expectations. Again, even if it really doesn't, it's just a coping mechanism, designed to be a mental shield and reduce his fear of failure.
I played better than I've been playing, but still so many mistakes, so many unforced errors, and it's just not good enough, really. But I have to accept that's what it is. You know, on a steady decline probably for 5 years. It's just getting a little bit worse and worse, but it's something you can't probably correct. You just have to just accept it, I suppose, you know.
Mark Williams is another player who has embodied this persona throughout his later years. He claims that having a carefree attitude and not dwelling on losses takes the edge off in big moments, as he's not worried about what might happen if it all goes wrong. There's every chance Ronnie looked at Mark's carefree approach and has tried to implement it himself. Whether Mark actually dwells on losses or not is up for debate, but it can't be understated how naturally calm he looks when out on the table, even when it's not going his way. Both players now apparently treat snooker as a hobby to protect themselves and avoid carrying the burden of maintaining a win-at-all-costs mentality. So aside from being a snooker hobbyist who just happens to have won 7 world titles, what else is there for Ronnie O'Sullivan? He's been the young prodigy, the attacking win-at-all-costs maverick, the solid all-rounder, and the nonchalant veteran. Well, there's every chance he becomes a godfather to the game by mentoring recent world champions Zhao Jingtong and Wu Yize. Further developing his master-apprentice relationships might be the natural step for Ronnie, while his own playing career phases out. Like his involvement in the Middle East, China offers refuge for Ronnie. Not only is it a growing game in China, with talented players now littered throughout the top 16, Ronnie is a sporting icon in that part of the world. He doesn't face the same media scrutiny that he does in the UK. Here, we love to build people up and knock them down, which is exactly how tabloid newspapers were like at their peak. The problem is, with a career that spans over 30 years and the added pressure of being Ronnie O'Sullivan, there were countless opportunities for him to get knocked down over and over again. So who can blame him for adopting a carefree attitude and investing his time in other parts of the world? He has given us everything in a sporting sense, and we, well, the media, haven't always given him the most grace throughout his playing career. Whether he does get that 8th world title is up for debate, and whether he cares to achieve such a feat is another debate. However, there is one thing that can't be debated. His apprentices, Zhao Jingtong and Wu Yize, are serious competitors who might just have the flair and temperament to dominate the sport for years to come.